As a state's attorney that, fighting for racial justice in the criminal justice system, fighting to end mass incarceration in a state where you have the largest sort of incarceration of Black people in the entire nation, I understood that I was going to get pushback. I never expected the lawsuits, and I never expected to be on this side of the fence when the only thing that I'm attempting to do is to provide equal justice to all, regardless of race, sex, religion, and occupation.
This is Merrick Garland's Department of Justice coming after her. Why would they want to stop her progress for equal justice? It just never made sense. But it didn't matter that there was absolutely nothing to suggest that she was the target of some sort of racist effort. Her goal was to position herself as a crusader for racial justice and a victim of a racist system that she was trying to upend.
I have done things as a prosecutor that a lot of other prosecutors have not done in this country, whether that is holding police accountable when a lot of other prosecutors in this country would not do so, whether that is ending the war on drugs, which we know was a war on Black people in the city of Baltimore. I've gotten lawsuits, OIG investigations, state ethics investigations. They've been coming for my law license since I charged those officers in Freddie Gray.
No pushback, of course, from Joy Reid, who basically cheered her on during the interview. But just as bad as Mosby's broad allegations of racism were her more targeted allegations of corruption against one particular prosecutor, a guy named Leo Wise, who at one time was the lead prosecutor in the case against her. Mosby's attorney made a motion to have him thrown off the case, saying he was biased because he donated to the campaigns of two of her opponents back in 2018. Wise did contribute to those two campaigns, modest donations of $100 each. But they were both Democrats, right? Not Republicans with starkly different agendas than Marilyn Mosby. So why would he or they want to stall her progress? Well, that claim was quickly rejected by the judge in the case, who did not allow her to make the racism argument in court. And when she was left to argue the merits of these cases, well, we've seen the results. 4 charges, 3 convictions. Look, what I knew from the beginning was that her racism rhetoric, particularly coming from a law enforcement official, was just dangerous and unsupported. And yesterday, a diverse jury of Baltimore citizens, including several Black women, determined that she did lie. Apparently now she'll have to pay the price. Joining us now is Jeremy Eldridge, a former Baltimore City prosecutor who's been following this case closely. Thanks so much for coming back on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so she took the stand in her own defense. How'd that go?
Well, I don't think it nearly as well as she planned. Obviously, she toured a lot of the big stations, CNN, MSNBC, saying that not only did she intend on taking the stand, she wanted a very quick trial within 70 days, and that she intended to testify. And the problem is, in the first trial, once she didn't take the stand, she then locked herself into a situation where it forced her to take the stand in the second trial, and she lost in both situations.
Up to 30 years for this crime?
It's up to 30 years just on the crime that she was found guilty of in the second case, which is mortgage fraud. Now, obviously, the U.S. Attorney's Office is going to look at her sentencing guidelines, determine what they believe to be an appropriate sentencing recommendation. But that is not limited to just what the basic guidelines would be, meaning what is her criminal history and what is the base offense score. They're probably going to be looking to file enhancements because she's a public figure, because she may have perjured herself on the stand when she testified. So you could go from 15 to 21 months or 18 to 24 months up to 3 or 4 years in jail.
Here she is again on Joy Reid's show, blaming Donald Trump and his Attorney General, Bill Barr, even though they weren't in office at the time that she was prosecuted. Let's listen.
I have fought Donald Trump, who said I needed to be prosecuted. I have fought against William Barr, who called me a rogue prosecutor. I have fought against my Republican governor, who doesn't agree with my policies. I know I've been through it all. I am built for this, Joy. And so I understand the shoulders that I stand on, and I'm ready to fight. I know I've done nothing wrong.
Well, that's she's going to be singing a very different tune, I think, when sentencing occurs. Let me ask you, in the Baltimore area, does she have support? Are there people who believe still that this was some sort of racial injustice, even though the jury was a very diverse jury?
Look, does she have a cult following no different than Donald Trump does? Yes, she does. Does she have a small number of people who thinks that she did the right thing by prosecuting the officers in flagrante? Yes, but this is an extreme minority. When you look at Ivan Bates, the current Baltimore City state's attorney who beat her in the last election, his favorability numbers are the highest in the state. So when you're looking at comparing and contrasting her successor, Ivan Bates, and her, there's really no match there. Crime in Baltimore, over 350 murders. They're down by 100 the first year she left office. It tells you everything you need to know about what Baltimore City thought of her reign in 8 years as state's attorney.
Jeremy Eldridge, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.